isn't there something wrong if I advocate for a more limited government, for a government that is not dispensing handouts, taking from some and giving to others? This was her reply to it. So she thought there's two principles involved here, an issue of justice and an issue of integrity. And I think the people worrying about this issue and now in the pandemic are thinking about both things. Like, is it just to take the unearned? And then for the people who say, look, I advocate for, in some sense, a more limited government. It shouldn't be doing all these kinds of things. I don't think it should have been bailing out GM in the financial crisis or the banks in the financial crisis. And I'm suspicious like it shouldn't be bailing out now. I'm against bailouts as a kind of general thing. So there's an issue of justice and an issue of integrity. And her view was, yeah, you need to, these are important principles, but you have to think how they apply in this situation. And this is part of how she put the principle. And she put it particularly with regard to scholarships, but then she said it applies to Social Security and unemployment insurance. So I'll cut a little bit from the quote to make it more general. It's, quote, "The right to accept rests on the right of the victims to the property or some part of it, which was taken from them by force. The recipient is morally justified," and then she puts in italics, the recipient is morally justified only so long as he regards it as restitution and opposes all forms of welfare statism. Those who advocate for such programs have no right to them. Those who oppose them have. If this sounds like a paradox, the fault lies in the moral contradictions of welfare statism, not in its victims. Close quote. So, I mean, and she knows this is both provocative and it seems like a paradox, but she says only the people opposed to these programs are in justice entitled to them, as if they regard it as restitution, as compensation from what's been taken from you. And if you think to say that so much of the government's budget is now these entitlement programs like Social Security, Medicare, like where is it getting that money? It's getting it largely through taxes. I mean, everybody's paycheck, you have deductions for Social Security, for Medicare. So the government's taking all kinds of money from you to pay for these programs. And her view is that this is an immoral function of government. It's an improper, unjust thing that the government is doing. It's taking from the creators of property, taking their property, what they've earned, and giving it to people who haven't earned it. And if you take seriously the American system of government, it's supposed to be we have rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness. So there's something fundamentally wrong in what the government is doing. And those who are opposed to it shouldn't victimize themselves. If you don't collect Social Security, if you're unemployed now and you don't apply for unemployment insurance, who gets the money? It would be only people who either don't think about and don't care about, well, Social Security is taking money from some people and giving it to other people, and same with unemployment insurance. They either don't care about that or they actively advocate for these programs. Those would be the only people collecting. And her view is like, that's a double injustice. You're once victimized by their taking stuff from you without your consent. You're opposed to these programs, so now you can't get any restitution either. So you're doubly victimized. And if she's against self-sacrifice, if you're supposed to be pursuing your happiness, not sacrificing it, then you don't willingly become a double victim.